Today I have 2 more Christmas games for you, and they are reindeer themed. So if you're looking for a couple of games to play until the end of the term, these games could be something for you. The first one is, number 1 is a reindeer rides, and this means that they can be in pairs, which will be good. That would be ideal. You can actually do this as a non-competitive way of moving, or you can also add in a little bit of a relay race too. So it's entirely up to you which you choose and how your children respond. So in their pairs, you have one swimmer sat on a kickboard, and they are balancing on the kickboard holding 2 noodles. Now the size and length of the noodle is entirely up to you, because they're actually going to be holding the noodle behind them, or they can be holding them to the side here. So you might need a longer length depending on the size of your children and their ability to sit on the kickboard. If they don't sit on the kickboard, don't worry, you can have them sitting or putting the noodle, like riding the reindeer or the horse, and then they're still holding on to the noodles. The person at the back is actually holding and kicking as they are moving the reindeer along. So the person sat on the kickboard or noodle has to balance. They have to stay balanced. If they fall off, then there will be a challenge. And those challenges can be entirely up to you what you would like to add them to do. So they actually have to move themselves down to the other end by kicking the person that sat on the kickboard. At the other end, they will swap. So the other person that was kicking will now be sat on their kickboard or noodle, and the other person will be kicking them back. And it's the first pair or team, because you can then have another 2 then go, which is part of the team. So you can have 2 sets of colours of noodles or kickboards to see a red team or blue team. To see who gets back first. A couple of things is they have to stay on the kickboard or noodle. They can't come off or fall off. If they do, you can either add a challenge or they just get back on. They can't release their hold, so they have to be held on together. So if one person lets go of the reins, they either have a challenge or they have to start again. And they must swap at the other end. So one person cannot kick them all the way down and all the way back. So that's reindeer rides. Next one is feed the reindeer. And again, this can be in pairs or 3s. And then depending on the amount of children, you can have them in 2 lanes, depending on if you've got squad or you've allocated a pool space that enables it. If you're doing, in a 3, what you'll have is you'll have the swimmer that starts, and they will have the food, which are balls or pom-poms, depending on what you want to use as food. And then you'll have in the middle of the pool, you'll have the person that's going to be the thrower of the ball or the passer. And then at the other end, you will actually have the catcher that's going to be then the person that will have the food for the reindeer, or you'll be feeding the reindeer, and that person's going to be the reindeer. They're going to have buckets at the other end. So this first swimmer with their food swims down to the person that is going to be either throwing or swimming and feeding the reindeer in the middle. So this person can actually, or this swimmer can actually throw the ball and they try and catch it in the bucket. Or like I said, they can actually swim down and place it in the bucket. You can actually add of where you have some food that is sinkable. So if they miss the bucket, then they'll have to swim down and collect it before it falls to the floor. Or if it does fall to the floor, they can still collect it, but like a challenge or something's added to them to not penalise, but you know what I mean, to sort of slow them down, for instance. The reindeer, the person that's got the bucket, will be either treading water or they'll be sat on a noodle or kickboard at the other end. So it's entirely up to you what you choose to do. Basically you'll do that a number of times. So then the swimmer will then swim back to the wall the person that's actually passing the feed will come back to the middle and the reindeer will stay the same. So at the end, you can actually then have it timed of when they will actually then change out their positions of what their job is. I would probably do either the time or the amount that they get into the bucket. So it could be the first team that get 3 successful or 5 successful food in the buckets, or you can do an allocated time of 5 minutes or whatever you think is relative to the age and ability. If you don't want to do the 3 and 3s, you can do them in pairs, but where the thrower would essentially be, you would have the cone with then the food, so that they actually swim to where the feed is, which would be taking place of the thrower, and then they will swim, collect up their food, and they will then swim to the reindeer and place it in their buckets. If you want to do it singly, you can actually have them of where you have the bucket at the end of the pool, you have the feed by the cone, and then the swimmer goes to get the feed, and then they put it in the bucket, and then they swim back, and then the next person goes. So you can actually do it singularly, in pairs, or in 3s, depending on what you want to do. I hope you like those games, and check out our videos for more of them. Thanks so much. Bye.